Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the City Update. I'm your host, Mark Aaron, Multimedia Design Manager for the City of Danville. This week's episode, we're going to give you an update on our Information Technology Department. Our department has received numerous awards over the past 6 months, and most recently at the last City Council meeting, they were recognized as one of the top digital cities in the country. So we're going to learn a lot more about that award on today's show and what all went into receiving that award, and also some of the new projects that our IT department is undertaking here in the city. So joining me today is our Director of Information Technology, Inez Harville. And Inez, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And Inez, we talked about the Digital Cities Award. I know you all have received, I think, 3 or 4 awards in the last 6 months, but the Digital Cities being the most recent. So give our viewers an update on that award. And I know they had an individual come down to the City Council meeting to recognize the department in the city last month.
I think it's an award we're very proud of. The city should be very proud of. It's a huge collaboration between the departments and organizations that we work with. But the Digital Cities Awards is sponsored by the National Research Institute, which is hosted through the Center for Digital Technology. And what they do is they focus on best practices and operational efficiencies. So the survey is really a host of all different facets of information technology, how localities are becoming more efficient, how they're changing their operations to best practices, and how they're being more productive. And in today's economy, with the focus of doing the right thing right and operational efficiency, I think it's just something that the city should be very proud of.
And I know you work closely with all our city departments when it comes to technology and implementing new programs and software and things of that nature. And I know that was a big part of being recognized for this award.
It is.
And tell me a little bit about some of the things. I know working with public safety and incorporating our in-Danville fiber optic network, there's some things that went into this award we were recognized for, and I think just over the last couple of years, some of the things we've worked closely with in public safety, Danville Police Department, fire department when it comes to technology. Can you touch on a little bit of those things?
I can. So the award in the survey encompasses every facet of technology, how the government is using technology in every aspect. And so specifically, public safety, the police department has done an astounding job with how they've pushed out technology and their use of technology. Just a few examples. Just recently, they've implemented the license plate readers, using the in-car cameras, and collaboration between the police department and the fire department, emergency service on communication. The city just recently was recognized for being the first in the state for the 3 disciplines of Pro Q&A for fire, medical, and police. And information such as just field reporting, be able to have that access of information out in the field. With the fire department, and Melissa may touch on it later on, but Melissa Dabbs, our GIS coordinator, having the ability to have incident information and GIS information out in the field. And then emergency services with the dispatch information and collaboration and viewing information from all different aspects.
And you talk a little bit about GIS with the Geographic Information Systems and having maps at their hands, because with the fire department they were used to having thick booklets that they had to grab, you know, in the split second to find out where they were going if they, you know, happened to get a call on X street and they wanted to get a diagram of the building they were going into, the emergency exits and things of that nature. Now it's all at their fingertips on a laptop in all the fire trucks. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great. And talk a little bit about e-services, because I know that was touched on with the digital surveys as well, because we have users in-house, of course, all of our city employees that use technology on a daily basis, but also we serve the public as well, and we have a lot of different aspects of that. Can you touch on a couple of those that we've implemented just in the last 6 months to a year? Sure.
So about a year ago, we released a new website, the new Danville website, which is, I think, was a huge enhancement over the last website. But we've really tried to focus on e-services, providing applications, services to the public remotely. Specifically, we've implemented job applications where users can get on the website, they can apply for a job online, they can find the status of their application, and in turn, departments have access to that information automatic. There's an automatic process where they get notification of who's been applying for jobs and the status. E-utility billing, my e-accounts. Utilities can now log in and get information to their billing information. They can see trends as far as, you know, what was my usage in the last year, last 2 years, and they can sign up for equal pay, they can sign up for draft payments. Parks and Recreations has the ability where you can sign up for programs online. It has all the information as far as what type of programs are available, the time, the location. You can sign up for a program and instantly get notification whether you've been accepted into that program.
Right.
GIS services, we have the new GIS portal, which has replaced the old real estate portal. I think users will find a huge enhancement to that new application. We have information for the orthophotography. They can pull up real estate information. It's the trend of providing information to the users remotely. Right. So they no longer have to come into City Hall to do business with the city.
Right. And you talk about the GIS portal in the second half of the show. Melissa Dabbs, the GIS coordinator for the City of Danville, is going to join us on the show and do a demonstration with us on the new software, which is very interactive and user-friendly and a great upgrade from the previous that we had. And she works closely with real estate assessment, and a lot of individuals and citizens in our community use that software on a daily basis.
They do, and it's a huge program that's used by the real estate agents.
Right.
They can go in and find sale information. Users that are looking to locate in Danville or looking to change locations, they can find information on the real estate value, sales comparables. They can look at the property. There's images of the property itself, transaction information, just a wealth of information they now have access to without having to leave their home. And without having to come down to real estate, all that information is available to them remotely. And
we'll take a closer look at that in the second half of the show with Melissa. And talk about some of the recent IT projects that are undertaken. I know we're always updating infrastructures with technology. You know, it's outdated yesterday, so we're always updating the infrastructure within the city. And I know you all are working closely with that.
We spend a lot of time just replacing end-of-life equipment, so
right.
Technology is constantly changing. Just recently, we went live with the new utility billing system. We call it CIS. That went live back in the middle of February. That was actually a huge project. We went from a completely different system to a new system. It has additional functionality, and so far we've heard the users using it really like it.
Right.
We're in the process of replacing our IFAS system, which hosts all our financial information, accounting, payroll, HR services. We're transitioning from a completely different platform, which we call Oracle, to a SQL Server platform, which will save the city approximately $40,000 a year. Right. But it will have enhanced services and additional capabilities that we didn't have before. Right. Hopefully, in July, we'll be looking at replacing our entire public safety system. We've found out recently that system will be reaching end of life soon. And there's a lot of other systems out there that just have additional functionality that we can grab and take a hold of and just incorporate that within our business structure.
Right. Well, so you mentioned public safety, also HR, Parks and Recreation, and I know our permitting and inspections department, they're getting into some upgrades as well.
So the permitting, inspections, and part of engineering has a completely new system called
right.
CityView, and Melissa did a great job putting that system in. But it allows us to, enhances the ability for us to track permits, and that also has the ability for users, once they have a permit, they can check online to a system called ePermits, and they can view the status of their permit, they can see what work's been collaborated on with different departments. Right. That is also part of our entire ERP framework.
Okay.
So previously we were on a COBOL mainframe program, and effective June of last year, we've transitioned everything to an ERP, which allows us to integrate seamlessly between the different departments. Communication's been enhanced, and just a whole additional line of functionality that we have now that we didn't have before.
You talk about opening up that line of communication between the departments, which I think is so vital, but that also spills over to assisting the public. Well, as you can see, over the last just 6 to 8 months, we have implemented a lot of different programs here within the City of Danville and throughout all of our departments when it comes to technology. So very well deserving of the award for the Digital Cities. We congratulate the IT department, but it really was a collaborative effort between all city departments. And you touched on a lot of these different things. And for our viewers who may not be familiar with some of these different programs, they can go to our website and access all of these from danville-va.gov. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, great. And mentioning the website, and you talked about an overhaul about a year ago of the website. We received a Governor's Award for our website as well recently. Is that?
We did. Back in September, we received the Governor's Award, honorable mention for web services and e-services, and just providing those services remotely and just enhancing the way we provide services to the public. One thing I do notice has changed. The departments are really embracing the technology. They're coming with us with new ideas and new thoughts and just the need for technology, and that's really made our job a lot easier. And this award really is a citywide award.
Right. And you talk about getting feedback from our departments, but you also get feedback from the public, and you incorporate that into the programs that you design, because a lot of these we do in-house. Is that correct, through your department? Some
That's
of the
correct.
designs of these different programs. Is there an example of one recently that we've done in-house?
E-permits, that
Right.
was a lot of collaboration with Utilities Department. Nate Lewis did a great job designing that website. So we work with the different departments. We pull out the expertise and the skill set that we can use. And I know he did a lot of work with working with the public on trying to design a website that not only looks good, but makes sense, it's user-friendly, where the public can easily get to the information.
Right. Well, Inez, we've almost run out of time in the first segment, and I do want to bring Melissa on in the second segment to get a closer look at the DanvilleVAMap.com website that we've just recently launched in collaboration with our real estate assessment office, and looking at the different properties in Danville. And we talked about a lot of the individuals that utilize that website on a daily basis. But as we move forward, I know things are changing on a daily basis, but what are some of the things we have in the pipeline coming forward here within our information technology department?
One of the changes that we've made is trying to focus on in-house programming and in-house development and trying to reduce our reliance on vendors. So we're really focusing on an intranet program. We've put out some applications for budgeting, for CIP and grant management, and we're just going to continue to do that and utilize ways that we can automate systems, such as leave transaction or travel transaction. I know that our folks are currently working on applications to enhance how we do budgeting, how we do CIP, and just basic work orders.
Right.
The public safety will be a huge project for us. I mean, that's just encompassing all facets of jails, police, fire, and rescue, and just trying to transition to a completely different platform. And of course, just supporting systems that we have right now, replacing that we have, and just replacing end of life. We're looking at putting a whole new storage system in that's enable us to have the hold and support the capacity of storage that we have.
Right.
And just every day it's just different.
I know storage capacity has to be everything. I know just utilizing online videos for what I do takes up a large amount of space. So I know just making room for all of that is a daily chore, I'm sure.
Yeah, we currently have about 15 to 20 terabytes worth of data,
Right.
and that constantly grows.
Yeah.
And it's not just storing the data, it's backing up the data in
Right.
case of disaster recovery. And so we have accessibility to that information, and that the information doesn't become corrupt. And so there's a lot of process in place of how we manage backup and storage. It's a huge complexity.
That's a good point, especially when it comes to public safety and our 911 center having a backup and having the capability to get them back online at a moment's notice, because we don't want them down for very long.
Right.
And so your department is in charge of that, on call pretty much
That's right.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week in case of an emergency with public safety. Right. Well, Inez, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. Now, when we come back from break, we'll be joined, as I mentioned, by Melissa Dabbs, who is our GIS coordinator for the City of Danville. And she's going to go over the new website, DanvilleVAMap.com. She's worked closely with our real estate assessment office to upgrade that software capability, and we'll give you a demonstration of that when we come back from break. So again, Inez, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And stay tuned. We'll be right back.
How can toys like these lead to a 6-year-old's death and leave another child permanently brain damaged? Because they're not toys at all. A safety message from your local fire department and this station.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the City Update. I'm your host, Mark Aaron, Multimedia Design Manager for the City of Danville. On this week's episode, we're highlighting the Information Technology Department within our City of Danville. And joining me in the second half of the show is Melissa Dabbs, who is our GIS coordinator for the city. And we're going to talk about a brand new website that we recently launched. It's called DanvilleVAMap.com. Now, this is just an upgrade from an older site that we used to have. Melissa, can you explain to our viewers who may be familiar with the old real estate assessor site?
Absolutely. We have had DanvilleVAAssessor.org available for a number of years, and there's a large group that use that site regularly. and it's been due for an upgrade, and I've enjoyed being able to increase its functionality and especially to change the map. And before it didn't have a lot of usefulness, and now I think people are going to really enjoy what information they can get from the map.
Talk a little bit about this mapping software for our viewers who may not be familiar with GIS. Who actually uses the website? I know it's open to all of our citizens can log onto our website and access the site, but who really utilizes this information?
I think I hear most often from anybody involved with real estate, realtors and the Realtor Association, also from surveyors and assessors, but anybody in the public who has a question about a property, its value, its ownership, transfers, all of that's available.
So you can basically find out any information you want about any parcel located in the city of Danville.
Limits.
Very good. Now I know we're going to go out and do a short demonstration of the site. Of course, the URL is danvillevamap.com, and we're going to take you out now to a demonstration that Melissa and myself are going to do and kind of walk you through some of the new features on the site and give you an idea of how you can utilize this new website.
Okay, Melissa, here we are at danvillevamap.com, and it looks like it comes up with a disclaimer for you, and you might have to download some software to use the program. Is that correct?
Right, so every time you enter the site, you're going to have to click this box down here that says you accept a disclaimer and click Enter Site. And the very first time, it's going to check your computer to see if you have a tool called Silverlight. And if you don't, it's going to prompt you to install it. And you're just going to click Run and Run again. And it's a very quick install. And this is a piece of software provided by Microsoft. It's free and it's totally safe. And it allows you to have highly interactive websites. So anything that runs video, or in this case, a map that you want to interact with, will make good use of Silverlight.
Right. It looks like a pretty quick install there, too.
It is, and once it's finished, it brings you back to the disclaimer page, and we just close out that installation, and we enter the site once again. And at this point, you'll see that it takes us to the map. Okay. And this is a new approach for our assessor site. And I might want to mention that the URL that most people are familiar with, danvillevaassessor.org, does still work, but it comes to this site instead of the one provided by GovernMax.
Okay, great. And
the map has loaded, but I'm going to switch over to the search tab right here. If I get to it. And this is, we're very proud of this because not only do you have the same search functionality as the old assessor website, but we've added some new features. So now you can search either by parcel information or by sales information. So I have the option of coming in here and searching for specific sales in a specific price range or in a date range, a size of a property, or in a location.
Okay.
But I'm going to go back to the one for parcel information, and in this case I'm going to start typing a street name, and you notice that it prompts me so that if it's a difficult to spell name like Calhoun Street,
right,
it will be easy to find in that list.
Right.
And then this, you see it switched to this tab called Results. The search results are very useful if you're trying to get a set of data. In this case, you can search by any of these column names, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to search by owner because I'm looking for a specific person. And you can also export these results to Excel if you have some reason for wanting to save them. I'm going to page down here, and you notice that there's a few options for how you view these results. Right. I'm going to pick this one. And when we select that record, those results are all still available if we decide we want to look at something else.
Right.
But on the Detail tab, we have all the same information that we saw on the assessor site. So you have building information, you've got the improvements that have been made and assessed, you have information about the land and various legal transfers. But we have also added a new feature for images. And so now you have a frontal image of the house taken by the assessors, and you also have the sketch that was available on the old site.
And that's for any parcel in the city has a photo now?
Any parcel that has a structure on it.
Great.
Yes, and that could be very useful. You can click on the picture to make it slightly larger and maybe a little bit more readable.
And I see you have a printer-friendly
We
Adobe
do.
link there.
That is our report option, and so for any property, you can come in and use this report generator, and it will take all the information across all these tabs and create a single report, but it will also include, open this file, the pictures and the map, which we haven't seen yet. It'll be on the last page.
So it'll all be there in one location for you, and you'll be able to print that right off.
In a single report in PDF format.
Okay, very good.
And so now I'd like to look at this property on the map. I can either click right here, View and Map, or I can switch over to the map, and you notice that it zooms in, it jumps right to that property, and it selects it.
Right.
I have a few tools now that are available to me, and the Map Tools menu, we can actually take and measure if someone would like exact footages of a property or a structure. And you can see that it's drawing not only the lines, but putting in that
Right.
footage as I go.
And it's real user-friendly because that's basically just one click of a mouse to keep it in place and scroll to the next spot
That's
and
right.
click, right?
Right, click, drag,
That's
and
great.
double click when you're done. And so all these tools can be closed out
Okay.
as you use them. We have a separate print option available just for the map information instead of including the property information.
Great. And you can also save it as well?
You can, so if you just wanted to export the map as an image file,
Right.
you can do that.
Great.
And if anyone was interested in the scale of the map or in finding a specific XY coordinate, you can see the scale bars down here at the bottom, and the lat and long as I move my mouse is changing. And if someone prefers a different unit, they can change it there. So depending on your need for the site, I'm going to toggle that back off by clicking on that again. And something else that I think people are going to find really useful is this new base map feature. So I have this property with the streets drawn in, but now I say I would like to see it with our orthophotography. And it's going to redraw that map with our aerial pictures. And I can zoom in a little bit closer. The other thing that's nice about this map that we didn't have in the assessor site was it acts a lot more like most web maps do. So if you go to MapQuest or Google Maps, now you can click to drag the map. You can use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out.
Oh, okay.
And it behaves more like people are accustomed to. You can also switch that base map. We have previous years of orthophotography, so if you're looking for changes in an area, that could be helpful.
So is that something that the city has done, looks like every 2 or 3 years?
Right. Either we have paid to have the orthophotography created, flown by an airplane and then created, or it's something that's provided by the state. So for example, the 2007s were a state project, and they provided that data.
Great.
And so the hill shade actually indicates topography, and if an engineer or consultant were interested in the lay of the land, this might be of more use to them.
Okay.
And I'm going to switch back to the base map. We also, if someone's trying to fit more in the screen, we have a full screen mode. And you've seen me using this plus and minus to zoom in and out instead of using the mouse wheel. One other really nice feature is that you can tell it to move north or move south by clicking on the letters, but you can also kind of get on the edge of this wheel and you can drag it straight up and down, and it will rotate the map so that if you prefer to have that property oriented a different way. And then there's buttons to reset that, and also to reset the map extent so that you can get where that property is in relation to the whole city.
Right. And can you print that from that screen right there as well, the whole city map?
Yes, if you wanted to save it, you could come up here and use Print Save and export that map and print it from Windows Explorer.
Great.
One last thing that I haven't pointed out is if I want to get rid of that selection on the map, I have this little clear selection button. And if I wanted to know what some of the markings on the map, if I happen to see any, there's actually this map layers that I can hide and toggle, and if there were trails showing, or if I didn't want to see the house numbers or the parcel numbers, I could turn them off with this
Oh, okay.
feature.
Now, is there a help menu for anybody who gets lost when they're
That's an excellent
on the
point.
page?
Yes, actually, this is a very nice help document. We see here there's a link for a user guide, and it's pretty extensive. It reviews all the tools and how to navigate on the map and how to do the searches, and I think they'll find that helpful. And it also has contact information for when people have questions about the site and how to use it.
Right. Well, it seems very user-friendly, and it seems like you've got all your bases covered for any needs that anyone would need to find information about parcels in the city of Danville.
I hope so.
Well, hopefully that gives you a better understanding of the new website, and feel free to log on after the show and get a little bit more in depth with the process there, because there's a lot of great information that you can utilize, as you just saw there in the demo. Melissa, as you were putting together this new website, I know you collaborated with a lot of different departments and gathered input, and even gathered input from citizens as well that used the old site and wanted to see an upgrade.
We did, and we actually started with a map that we use internally within the city called Danville Map, and it's only available inside. It has a lot more GIS information from all the departments, but we started with that because that was a recent upgrade, and it was a nice, easy to use kind of Google map approach and the way the map responds, and people really enjoyed that and that change. And so we started with what we learned from that project from all the departments, because that's a citywide tool. And we then added on all of the functionality that was available on the assessor website and what we knew worked well on the assessor site and what we thought should work better. And then we pulled in economic development, because they also have a site tool and are familiar with the map, and we pulled them in and asked for their feedback.
So just another great example of the collaborative effort that IT goes through when developing any sort of software that we're going to use internally or to externally with our citizens.
And that always makes a better product.
Absolutely. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for taking the time to do the demonstration with us today. And as you can see the website at the bottom of the screen, DanvilleVAMap.com, and they can log on to the old assessor site if they're familiar with that site, and it'll link right over to the new site.
It does. DanvilleVAAssessor.org still works for now.
Okay.
It's a little harder to spell, so we went with something simple.
Great. So that'll take you right over to the new site if you're familiar with the old URL as well. So, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. And we'll bring you back on as we get a new upgrade, because I'm sure as with all these programs, when it comes to technology, we'll be upgrading in the future.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And thank you at home for watching. If you'd like more information about any of the new projects that IT is undertaking, log on to our website, danville-va.gov, and there are links on those sites with all the departments of all these different programs that we've touched on today's show. So until next week, have a great day.